while conventionality does play a heavy role in psychology, particularly as shorthand for assessing propositions, I obviously have some bias in favor of more of a mechanistic approach, taking a look at, again, base capacities for how one handles thought. It's important to note, and this is where the cherry-picking issue that Supex mentioned is very pertinent. The DSM definition for delusional disorder as a category, including the subtype of grandiose delusional disorder, makes a distinction between bizarre and non-bizarre delusions. This was later in the series of videos that this entire debate constitutes. Vague questions were asked about, so what does bizarre mean? Well, I think the idea of God is pretty bizarre. No, the DSM provides a pretty clear definition, and in a clinical context, there is a clear definition for what bizarre means. And I'm kind of drawing from an Ericksonian and later a Morita context for this definition, so no. If you hate Erikson, then I'm sorry. I hate parts of Erikson too, so there you go. But I think he was kind of spot on here, that a bizarre conclusion is one that cannot be derived from a synthesis or integration of experience into the process wherein conclusions are made. That the conviction or idea is in direct controversion to available experience or available interpretation of experience. And it's on that second point that we find that there is actually a pretty strong mechanical or operant reason for excluding theism from the DSM. A quick example of this problem of bizarre and non-bizarre delusions. And it is a problem. Drawing a hard line between these is often very problematic. For example, the flat earth, people who believe that the earth is flat, is very difficult. This conclusion is very difficult to categorize as either bizarre or non-bizarre, because very few people have direct experience, and direct experience from which they could conventionally derive the conclusion that the earth is round. A flat earth belief does not constitute failure to integrate one's experiences with one's conclusions. And that failure to integrate is a pivotal point of delusional psychology. But this conclusion, we know, stands in defiance of presentable evidence and testable fact. This belief does not even constitute a breakdown in the ability of a person to synthesize presented information with their own experience, so much as it is a problem of the assessment of presented information against experience. So while we may call this disordered thought due to its unconventionality, and it may in many cases coincide with conclusions that do fit the diagnostic criteria for delusional or disordered thought, bizarre or non-bizarre delusion, this belief has every possibility of existing in a system of conclusion that is internally consistent, self-correcting, and operates alongside ongoing personal assessment. So the flat earth belief is one example of how these lines are not so easily drawn as we may perhaps like to pretend. And this is again why the DSM is a tool in the diagnostic process, but is by no means a summation of the diagnostic process. Note that here, in asking whether or not we are dealing with a delusional conclusion, a delusional idea, or even a bizarre or non-bizarre delusional idea, that we are not concerned with event so much as we are concerned with experience, and in particular the processes with which the person in question handles experiences and includes them in their methods for drawing conclusions.